KABC Talk Radio 79, Southern California.
Let us hear you.
Let us know. Plant a thought and watch it grow with
Bill Jenkins.
Well, welcome into a Saturday night. It is Open Mind. I am Bill Jenkins, and on this night we want to take you on a new flight. Well, maybe for some of you it's not new. It's one that I have never taken. But we're going to open up a whole new world. Maybe for you, for the first time. For others, you've known about it, but we'll try to figure out a way to get out of body. Oh, going out of body. That is something else. And it's something that we have been curious about for many, many years here on this here program called Open Mind. Curiosity has led us on many trails. We have tried it on many, many occasions. I have. I found out on the very first show that I did on the the out-of-body experience, which, by the way, was my fourth show. Wanda Sue Parrott came in. This was way back in 1979. That just about everybody in Los Angeles goes out of body. There must be a traffic cop up there to keep all of you in tow, because it's just hither, yon, and air for everybody. The out-of-body experience, you know what it is? There is the ability of many, many people. Most say all of us have this very same ability to get into an altered state of consciousness generally, and sometimes without unknowing this happens to you. And your consciousness, or your soul, or whatever you want to call it, leaves the physical body where it is. Usually your physical body is not busy, but sometimes it is busy. Sometimes it's driving an automobile, and you're just out of it. And you are aware of new things, different things altogether. You're aware of the physical world that you're in, but from a different perspective than you generally are viewing this with your eyes and that part of your sensory perception. Those who have been out of body whirl around the world in that particular mode. Then you move into different areas, the other side, where we go permanently whenever we leave this physical body, go make that out of body trip for a long while. And we've had stories of scientific explorers who are deeply involved in this, and particularly in my mind are the people from the Monroe Institute of Applied Sciences, how they go far into the future, far into the past, because in that realm that exists outside of our physical body, there is no time and there is no space. And that's very, very difficult for most of us to grasp. And they go to distant places, and by distant places I mean not only places on this planet, but within the solar system and this galaxy and beyond, for there are no limitations in where you can go and what you can do and what you can learn, in fact, in the out-of-body mode. Some people can do it deliberately, some that have developed those skills, some it happens quite unexpectedly. Those who have studied it very deeply, and there has been a lot of very, very serious research into this particular phenomenon, tell us that it happens to all of us. It happens all of the time. Quite often when we sleep. In fact, there were those that will tell you that you cannot sleep unless you indeed do, even if it's just for a small piece of space, maybe an eighth of an inch or something, slip right out of body and hover right there with you while you try to sleep. That physical sleep is definitely impossible. Well, all of those are fascinating stories, and I could, regale you with those all night long. The stories that I have heard, that we have discussed on the air, and certainly my curiosity, private level and research level, has been quite deep about it. But tonight, I wanted to take you into it with some people who have been there and who were there all the time. There is a group in St. Paul, Minnesota, known as the Search and Prove group, and it's headed by Jerry Gross and Jim Voigt. And they are our guests tonight from St. Paul, Minnesota. They are out-of-body travelers. My last conversation with Jim was, well, you said you were going to call me. I said, why? You were going to call me. And what about? He says, well, I came to your house about 3 or 4 weeks ago, out of body. And Jim's never even been to Los Angeles. He described the house. He did make me feel better. He says as soon as he got there that I popped right out of body and challenged him, wanted to know who it was. It was at his house. Now, in the out-of-body state, while physically I was carrying on a conversation with some guests there that were at the house, his definition or his description of the house and the environments in which we live in, that I live, were very, very accurate, even to the people who were there at that time. So that's kind of mind-blowing, and we'll be talking to Jim about that. I understand that Jerry Gross has come to see me, and I don't know anything about Jerry's visit. So our subject tonight is the out-of-body state, or the out-of-body experience, OBE it's called. And our guest will be Jim Vogt and Jerry Gross, and I'm Bill Jenkins. Be back with you and them in just a moment.
At St. Anne's, unmarried pregnant teenagers learn more than just academic subjects. California law states that it is unlawful for a driver to permit a child under 4 or weighing less than 40 pounds to ride in a vehicle without an approved safety restraint. Another state law provides that any pregnant, unmarried California girl under age 21 is entitled to maternity home care without charge to her or her parents.
Here at St. Anne's Maternity Home, it really is pleasant. Everyone understands me. I can still go to school, and I'm under 21, so there's no charge.
St. Anne's campus includes a residence, junior and senior high schools offering academic and vocational classes, and St. Anne's provides tutoring, counseling, medical management of the pregnancy, recreation, and aftercare programs. To live, go to school, and have your baby, call St. Anne's, 213-381-2931.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's performance marks the beginning of the 1986 season at Mission Viejo Imports. Before the curtain goes up, I'd like to discuss our award-winning cast of Mercedes-Benz automobiles. This season, an entire repertoire of Mercedes-Benz motor cars is making its American debut. The 560 SEC, 420 SEL, 300E, and 190 will be starring at Mission Viejo Imports for the first time. Patrons of Mission Viejo Imports are accustomed to trend-setting performances, but an entirely new cast of Mercedes-Benz automobiles on the Mission Viejo Import stage is simply remarkable. The first scene of today's premiere takes place in the Mission Viejo Imports showroom, where the new 1986 Mercedes-Benz automobiles are on display. And now, enjoy our performance. For your premiere at South Orange County's only authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer, take Avery Parkway off the San Diego Freeway to Marguerite, Mission Viejo Imports.
Humor heals and keeps life in perspective. I'm Dr. Sonia Friedman, and I really do believe that. I hope you'll spend your Monday and Tuesday afternoon with me from 2 till 4. We'll laugh, we'll share. Heck, everybody struggles with the same sorts of problems. If they haven't struck you yet, they will. I know sometimes there are problems you only share with your best friend. I hope to be that special person in your life. Give us a listen and give us a call. Dr. Sonia Friedman, Monday and Tuesday afternoons from 2 till 4 on KABC.
KABC time now is 14 minutes past the 9 o'clock mark on a Saturday night. Let me give you the telephone numbers while we're getting Jerry Gross on the phone, who's standing by in Minneapolis, St. Paul, where Search and Prove is located. In Los Angeles, 520-TALK. In the San Fernando Valley, 990-TALK. In Orange County, the number is 750-TALK. In the Burbank, Glendale, Pasadena area, the number is 244-TALK. In the San Gabriel Valley, 448-TALK. All of the numbers end in talk, as you know. In South Bay, 679-TALK. T-A-L-K, it's easy. And down in the Long Beach, San Pedro, Paramount area, that number is 639. And I want you to do that and talk to us. All right. Jerry Gross, welcome aboard.
Hi.
Have you been out of body lately, Jerry?
Well, I've been out, a couple nights ago.
Where'd you go?
Well, I just went around here in Minnesota.
You know, I get so amazed talking to you guys. Where'd you go? Oh, I just tooled around Minnesota. You know, sometimes you tool around a solar system. You know, the airlines are not going to like you very much for this.
No, not if I can get you to do it. You can come here. How's it going with you?
Well, it's going all right. I had an amazing call from your associate, Jim Vogt. Try to get Jim on a little bit later. And maybe you can back up a little bit about this, what happened. But he called me and said, well, if you're not going to call me, I'm going to call you. He said you'd call me. And I said, well, I hadn't talked to you in a long time, Jim. How come? He said, well, I came to your house. And I found you there talking to some people. And you jumped right out of body and kind of challenged my existence there. Wanted to know who I was. When I introduced myself, everything went along. Now, does this happen?
Yeah, that happened.
And we watched me in my physical form talking to a friend of mine.
Yeah.
While he and I were conversing about what we were talking about and other things, this program, for one.
Right.
Boggles my mind, Jerry. You ever done that?
Oh, yeah, I did that to a guy in Toronto when I was on a radio show up there.
Oh, you went to see him?
I went to see him before I got on him. And when I got on the show, I told him about we all talked. He remembered everything.
Does that lead you to being a peeping Tom, if you want to be?
No, because I told him I asked for his permission.
Oh, I see.
And he was really he really didn't believe it in this. And then he says, anything if you can prove, he says, you bring it out and tell me. So I brought it out on the air, and he sat there and he says, boy, he says, I just can't speak. He says, everything you told me, he says, I remember.
Well, the thing that Jim told me, and we'll try to get him on a little bit later, and he can really relate the story. He described the setting. He described the person to whom I was talking, the fact that my children were in the other room watching television. And he described the room. The only thing that he got wrong, he says that the walls were kind of yellowish in color. Well, they're white, but there's incandescent indirect lighting shining on them, and it was a nighttime scene, and so they would look yellow. And I noticed that a couple of nights later. I'm sitting there in the room, and I said, hey, those walls do look yellow. Under this.
When you're out of the body, like the paint, our decorations, that we use in our houses, is more of a heavy matter than what our astral body is. And when you see that, it does, like white will look yellow to you out of the body in that color there in the physical.
Well, other than that, which was a minor discrepancy, he really described the room and the setting and the environs very well, and I don't think Jim's ever even been to Los Angeles, has he?
No, I don't think so.
But he sure did get to my house because he described who I was talking to and some of the conversation, and then he said that we both went over and pinched me, tried to see if we could get my physical attention. And, of course, thickhead here, we didn't get his attention. I was just talking away as usual. My mouth has been known to be talking a lot from time to time. But then I promised him I would call him. And, of course, I didn't, because I was never able to get through. What is the difficulty from this consciousness, which can float freely in and out of the physical being, of connecting with the consciousness or the brain, I guess, that we have physically?
Well, the whole Bill, on that, the whole thing is, it's not... It's us people here in the Western world.
Okay.
It's because the majority of us lost it on our upbringing, And it's tucked way back, and we got to learn to bring this forward again where it's supposed to be. You take now out in the East, with your Tibetans in up there in the Himalayas, they do this all the time with no problem at all.
They just flit around all over the world, huh?
Right, and it's the same way like our clergy in this country, our religions. They tell us that we can go so far, and they tell us that there's a heaven and hell. So we go, if we behave, we're going to go to heaven. If we're bad, we're going to go to hell. But that's all the farther they go. They don't come up with proof of it. And there is proof that you can prove this stuff if you just take your time with it.
Take your time and know how to do it.
Right. I mean, we were brought up in the Western country where we have material things on our mind of being Mr. and Mrs. America and bringing up our families good, living in a nice home and working all our life for material things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where our mind is always going,
And And so we're missing a lot of the things that are available to us.
We're going through this life so fast, when we get done with it, we get back on the astral plane, we're going to see,
What were we doing?
yeah, we wasted it.
Hey, I have a friend of yours on the on the line. I'm going to bring him in now. Jim Voigt is there. Hello, Jim.
Hello, how are you?
Well, listen, we're doing fine. We were just talking about your visit to my home the other day.
Oh.
You want to go over that in your inevitable fashion? What was I doing?
Well, let's see. This goes back about a year and a half ago. And when we had talked about the possibility of doing something like this. And actually, the time I came to visit you was to me a little bit unexpected. I had put it in my mind that I wanted to come over to your place sometime or another and see if you could remember.
Now, you know, I've never given you instructions how to get there.
Right. And as it turned out, with me sometimes when I get out of the body, somebody grabs me and away we go. And this is what happened to me the time I came to visit you.
Mm-hmm.
I got out of the body, and I all of a sudden felt the usual familiar tug, and so I went along with it.
Who is tugging you, Jim?
I didn't see the person this time.
Oh, really?
And it was kind of interesting the way I got to your place, because I went straight up in the air about 10,000 miles. And I could see the earth. And the next thing you know, I was dropping down, and I thought, now where in the world am I going to land? And it turns out, the next thing I realize is I'm in somebody's house. And so I look around, and I'm a little bit astonished, and I kind of say to myself, now what in the world am I doing here? And so I walk into the next room, trying to figure out where I am, and there's a fella standing there. And I have a sneaking hunch it was you. So I walked up to you, and just to double check, I asked you your name. And you said, well, Bill Jenkins. And there was a woman sitting on a couch nearby. And we talked just very briefly, because the whole experience only lasted about less than a minute or so. And to help, now I said, now Bill, now you remember this, and I'm going to do something to you. And what I did is I pinched your arm.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, now you remember this. And that was about it.
And I didn't, of course, remember that.
You didn't remember it.
Well, we had just a delightful time. Is that what happens to you, Jerry? Pretty much.
Oh yeah, that's me. Jim and I go on trips like this all the time. I go with him a lot on them. Like sometimes we sat out on my patio. I think I told you this last time I was on. Oh, me and him, we looked at the full moon that night. I said, let's project to the moon. And we
Boy,
got
would
out
I
of the
like to
body.
go with you on that trip.
We started for the moon, and then Jim says, what should we do, go through it or go around it?
Wait a minute, go through it?
Yeah, and we'll go around it.
Can you go through it?
Oh, yeah, you could, because when your astral body is a much finer matter.
Uh-huh.
And it'll just pass right through.
That seems to be like kind of a dull trip. It would be more fun to go and see what's on the outside, I would think. Well, you never can tell what's outside.
Well, what happened, we both didn't know what to do. We ended up back on the patio.
Well, if I'd have been with you, we'd have gone to Tycho and some other places where some interesting things are going on. It seems like, and checked all of that out. You didn't see anything unusual up there when you went to the moon, though, huh?
No.
Just a lot of barrel
junk up there.
A bunch of junk?
Yeah. We and the Russians put up there, and...
You know, it was kind of an interesting thing when you go through space. You can still feel a breeze on your face as you're going so fast.
You feel something. You feel a breeze.
Feel a breeze, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's, Jim, that's not the breeze, that's the energy.
Ah, okay.
Of the universe that's coming through you.
Yeah, because there's really nothing up there to be breezy. Well, I suppose if you're traveling you must travel at enormous speeds.
Well, you got your solar winds.
Yeah. So you might sense those. Do you feel, for instance, if you're in the out-of-body state and you're standing here on a windy day, do you feel the wind?
No.
No.
You wouldn't feel the wind, because then you're in the finer astral body, what I mentioned, finer matter, and the wind would blow right through you.
I've often wondered, guys, let me ask you just a question aside. But if you were, say, laying in bed and you don't have any clothes on, and you go out of body. Are you out of body in the nude?
Yes, sometimes.
Yes, you are sometimes.
And if you happen to have your clothes on, do you go out of body with your clothes on?
Yeah, you can go with your clothes on, or sometimes you will put on a different suit after you do get out of the body. Go.
Oh, I see.
See, you can put anything on you want. I remember one time I went out and I was supposed to go to a party one night, and I didn't make it. So it kept, bothered me because the people really expected me.
Yeah.
So I went to bed and I kept thinking, and I thought, well, maybe I'll go to see what's going on.
Just check it out.
So I got to the party, and there I stood there in the party just in my shorts.
So your shorts go too?
Yeah, and I thought, I can't be here at this party like this. And I thought, looking like this. And people were at the party. They were walking right by me, but they didn't look at me. And then I said, they can't see me, so what am I worried about?
There are all kinds of little questions that come up, and our callers are beginning to fill up the lines. You two ready to field some calls about? We can get on the lighter side and also the depth and the meaning of this thing, which is fascinating. Once you realize that it actually is going on, the out-of-body experience. There's a lot of reason to believe that it actually happens. And we're talking to two men tonight, Jerry Gross and Jim Vogt. They're of Search and Prove at Minneapolis, St. Paul. A group of people who do go out of body. And it is a fact of life to them. And I can't think of anyone better for you to talk to about it than these two. So we'll get to you in just a moment. If you want to find metaphysical videos for rent or sale, why don't you go to the store with the largest selection in Southern California? You must go to Alexandria 2 bookstore in Pasadena. Now you can discover the life of Edgar Cayce and Nikola Tesla, the secrets of holistic health, UFOs, even videos, and the power of crystals. Alexandria 2 has a vast selection of books on astral projection, or the out-of-body experience that we're talking about tonight. World religions, metaphysics, UFOs, holistic health, you name it, they probably got it. Over 4,000 titles for you. And Alexandria 2 has a wide selection of crystals, candles, cards, gifts, and New Age music cassettes. That's Alexandria 2 bookstore. They're at 3686 East Colorado Boulevard in Pasadena, at the corner of Rosemead in Colorado. And now you can meet Dr. Peoples, who'll be giving a lecture and a demonstration Saturday, January 25th. And he knows all about the out-of-body experience, too. Call Alexandria 2 for more information. That number is 818-792-7885. Let me give it to you again. 818-792-7885.
When problems on the job create problems at home, that makes work a family affair.
There just aren't enough hours in the day. I know I'm not spending enough time with my family, but my job is so demanding.
I'm worried about losing an important account, so I'm putting in a lot of overtime at the office. And I just don't think my family understands.
I never get to see the kids anymore. I don't even know what they're doing half the time. I'd like to see my wife stop working, but I can't ask her to do that. But with the amount of time we both have to put in at the office, it sometimes seems we don't have a family life at all.
These problems may sound familiar, but most people don't realize that help is available. Maybe even right in your own office through programs sponsored by your employer or union. Take advantage of them.
Now that I've talked it all through with someone, I feel a lot better. And I think I know how to start getting things settled down at home and at the office.
Remember, work is a family affair. A message from the National Association of Social Workers.
KABC time now is 9:30 on a Saturday night in Los Angeles. It's Open Mind. My name is Bill Jenkins, and my guest, Jim Vogt and Jerry Gross of Search and Prove, a group in Minneapolis, St. Paul, who are deeply involved in just the wonder, if not the research into what is to be found and what is to be gained by the out-of-body experience. Because they get deeply involved in it. What have you found is the value of doing this, Jerry?
Well, I found the value of doing this. Well, I did this all my life, so I really didn't have a problem with it. But it makes a much perfect more life. You know what your course in life is, well, where you're heading for, and what your turmoils will be in life, and your good parts in life, and what's coming after life in this earth plane. And it makes life much easier, and problems don't bother you then, because you know that you are gonna have problems, but you're gonna work yourself through those problems because you know all.
As I recall, Jerry, I remember in our last conversation you gave us a poignant story how you were out of body, and you happened to have been in the out-of-body state when a relative, or brother-in-law or something, passed over permanently, and you really helped him come over.
My brother.
Your brother?
Yes. When he was in the hospital, when he was leaving the body, I went out and I went over with him, helped him over to the next side, into the next plane of existence. And he kind of had a rough life here on Earth. And when he came over, there was my father and my grandmother, my two grandmothers, and I waiting for him. And he looked at me and he said, "Did you die too?" And I says, his name was Junie. I said, "No, Junie, I just come over here to help you over to see that you got across okay."
I'm just a visitor on this side.
Right. And he says to me, he says, "Boy, I sure blotched up my life here, didn't I?" He says, "If only I could start over." And I said, "Don't worry.
You get a chance. You'll get a chance for that. Back to the drawing boards, as it were. But there are lessons to be learned in the living experience.
Oh, every day's a lesson for you, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Every day you go through, there's a lesson. If you take the time, if something bad happens to you, sit down and think, "Oh, what did I learn by this?"
Right.
Or something good, reward yourself with it.
Well, as you have been traversing back and forth the stories that we get out of our religious mysticism about heaven and hell, is there any kind of validity to them, or is there a touch of what they say that is factual?
Well, yes, the astral plane, I think I'm positive where they get that is, the astral plane is a beautiful place.
Mm-hmm.
And the hell part would be, it's about the first plane of the astral plane. I'll tell you this much, it's not brimstone and fire. It's just one gloomy place you don't want to go to.
But you visited it.
I visited, yeah. I had a teacher of mine that's in the spirit, take me through the different planes of the astral.
Uh-huh.
This took a period of 3 nights. I left the body and went with him for 3 nights to different planes. Just to learn and see what the different planes were.
First level is not what we would call thrilling, more or less.
No, that's a bit. Stay away from it when you get out of the body.
Mm-hmm.
I don't advise you to go to it, but it is a good learning plane because one thing of the souls I seen in this plane that they're going to come out, Bill.
Yeah.
They're eventually are going to come back out and reincarnate back into the body and they get their chances over. That's one thing I'll say about our Creator. He don't give up on us. There's thousands of chances, and you eventually are going to make it.
Well, that leads to another question, then. You say that there are souls, or consciousnesses, or people, whatever you want to call them, that are residing in, say, that first level that you just talked about. Are they there out of choice, or are they there because of the life they led on Earth?
Well, no, that's a tricky question.
Well,
they're there by choice, but they're there because the life they led on Earth, their karma.
Mm-hmm.
But, no, you got to remember this now. When you die, when you leave the body for the last time, you go into about the third plane of the astral. And as you go in there, they call a place what they call the Hall of Judgment. And as you pass through this Hall of Judgment, you do it yourself. And what I see in the Hall of Judgment, it was a beautiful white light shining down. And the souls that passed over go through this light, and all their life and their karma is brought forth to them. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And after they see of what they carried on in this life and their back karma, they decide what plane they're going to go on.
Oh, so it's an individual decision.
Right. And you got to remember now, when you're there, you don't cheat yourself.
Doesn't do any good, does it?
No. So, I mean, everything is pure, that you decide where you're going to go. There's nobody going to say, you got to go to the first plane or you got to go to the third plane. You decide it.
Worst place you could go is the San Diego Freeway.
Is that right?
You guys ready to field some questions?
Oh, yeah.
They're lining up for you. We have on the line Jerry Gross and Jim Voigt of Search and Prove in Minneapolis, St. Paul. They're both on the conference line tonight. I'm delighted to have them with us. We're talking about one of the most fascinating subject matters. Well, it is to me, and I hope it will be to you, too, about the ability to go out of body, and not only to travel the physical world that we live in that state, but to go into, as Jerry was just talking about, the astral level. And, of course, whenever you get into this level, you get into a very, very complex world for us to conceive here on the physical side, because it is so enmeshed with religious beliefs and all kinds of theology and mysticism that has been brought down that so many of us think is real. But it may not be as real as we see, because actually we've never been there. But we have two guys on the line that have been there, and the lines are open for you to ask the questions. We'll be back with them in just a moment.
Looking for a long-wearing tire? Finding it can be difficult. Every dealer will tell you his is the best, but 4-Day Tire Stores gives you information so you can decide for yourself. Each 4-Day Tire Store has copies of the new government-required tire ratings for every tire sold in the United States. Relative tread life and other performance characteristics are included in the ratings. Ask the 4-Day Tire Store manager for your free UTQG booklet. 4-Day Tire Stores want you to compare these ratings. You'll see that Michelin comes out on top. Michelin's XH and all-weather XA4 carry the highest treadwear ratings in the United States, and buying them at 4-Day's cut prices makes them one of the best tire values you'll find anywhere. In 1985, 4-Day bought more Michelin passenger tires than any other independent dealer in the United States. Their deep buying discounts help you save money. 4-Day Tire Stores, where you learn for yourself that Michelin tires wear the longest. See their ad every week in the LA Times, the Register, and other major Southern California dailies. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
If I don't get to a phone and call Halberstam, the deal is going to be off. Ah, good. There's a payphone.
$1.65 for the first 3 minutes.
Oh, great. Not enough change. Where am I supposed to get change in the middle of nowhere?
A Pactel cellular phone in your car would solve your problem.
Now I know I'm going crazy.
A Pactel cellular phone in your car would solve your problem.
Okay. I wish I had a Pactel phone in my car, but I can't afford one.
Rent a Pactel cellular phone for less than $1.65 per day.
Sure, with you everything's $1.65.
Rent a Pactel cellular phone for less than $50 a month.
$50 a month?
Call 800-222-3772.
I am out of change.
It's a free call, sir.
Do I know you?
Call Pactel to rent a cellular phone, 800-222-3772.
How's this for a deal? We'll pay you $1,000 to tell a friend about KABC Radio. Then we'll pay your friend $1,000 if they listen to us. It's the KABC Cash Connection. Send us your name, address, and daytime phone number, along with the name, address, and daytime phone of a friend you've told to listen to KABC. Send it to KABC Cash Connection, Los Angeles, California, 90016. Then every Thursday and Friday, listen to the Ken and Bod Company at 7:25. It could be your turn to make the Cash Connection.
KABC time is 20 minutes away from 10 this Saturday night. With me, Jerry Gross and Jim Voigt of Search and Prove, and also on the line with some searching questions about the out-of-body experiences, Joy. Hello, Joy.
Hi.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. I've been a listener since you began.
Then you know one of my problems, don't you?
It's fascinating.
I cannot do what these men are talking about.
I haven't
absolutely
either. But I'm going to
stifles me.
present what I would like to do and then ask a question.
Okay.
If I could go out of body, I would go to see Dr. Peebles and have him introduce me to Walter Russell and Ben Franklin and all his cronies and Nikolai Tesla, and we would discuss solar energy and philosophy and all of that.
Well, they wouldn't want to talk about solar energy because it's so passé, but...
Well,
they
might be able to advise somebody from this plane.
Particularly Nikola Tesla. He's
You
going to
bet.
tell you, why do that, whenever
You
you
bet.
can do what John Bedini is doing right now.
Well, see, I don't know him so well. And my question is, if a person could go out of body, could he decide where to go in advance?
Let me explain something to Jerry and Jim. Dr. Peoples is an entity from the other side that speaks to us quite often on this show through a transmedia by the name of Thomas Jacobson. So I guess Joy wants to know if it were possible, could she go over and meet Dr. Peoples? Dr. Peoples, when he talks to us, does have contact with a lot of people, she names some of them, in which he relates what they have to say, quite briefly. Is that such a thing possible, to your experience, guys?
Oh, definitely, yes. She could easily do that if she can get all the body. All she'd have to do is, right before she goes, is just mention his name. And by doing that, her subconscious would take over and direct her right to him.
I'd like to do that myself.
Wow, doesn't that sound like fun? Let's go together, Bill.
I'm ready.
I'm ready, too, but I can't get out of my body.
Well, now, Jim, you have some, or Jerry, I guess you've made a series of booklets, which, by the way, I have those booklets.
Oh, really?
That help you get out of body. But, however, to do all of this, you have to spend some time doing it, right?
Uh-huh.
That's right.
Do you still have the booklets available?
Oh, yes.
If we wanted to get those books, there's, as I remember, there, what, half dozen or something of them?
Yeah.
How do we get those?
Well, you can write to Search Improve, Box K, St. Paul Park, Minnesota, 55071.
Was that St. Paul Park?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
We'll give you the address a little bit later as we go on.
Okay.
See, Joey,
When are we going?
I must confess that I'm just a little bit negligent here in that I have not yet found time to seriously get after going out of body as much as I want to go.
Well, just wait till I come back and tell you what Ben Franklin and Walter Russell and Nikolai Tesla have said. Boy, oh boy, I'm going to take my tape recorder.
I think one of the things that bothers me is that I will have such a great time over there. I may not come back in time to get to work, and then Wally Sherwin would be all over me.
Oh, not if he had all that information.
He wouldn't believe a bit of it.
No, he wouldn't believe it.
Can you imagine? Said, Bill, why were you late? He said, oh, I was out of body
out of
talking to Nikola Tesla. Guess how far that would go.
Yeah. Well, no, I would verify it. I'd say I was with you. How's that?
Okay.
Okay, thanks ever so much.
I need support.
Keep
Thank
it
you,
up.
Joy.
Bye.
Appreciate it very much. And let me see, who was next on the line? I believe we have Edson. Hello, Edson. Dr.
All
Edson.
right, good evening, everybody. How are you? First, congratulations on ABC doing a Tesla documentary. I don't know if you know about that, but...
Certainly do.
It's in the works. I just heard about it. And I wonder if a gentleman could, is it Mr. Voigt and Mr. Groth?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Could explain the silver thread, and also if they've heard of the H.G. Wells story, The Stolen Body, where someone goes out of body and their body is stolen by another entity, if that really happens. And is this called biolocation as well?
I think it's a silver cord, but...
Silver cord, silver thread,
yeah.
silver cord.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you hear that, Jerry?
Yeah, I heard that. Silver cord is connected to you as long as you're in the physical. And as long as that silver cord is connected, there is no way another entity could take over steal your body. And the only time the silver cord is disconnected is when it's your time, when the body's no good to you anymore and you leave it for the last time. But, you hear a lot about people getting, taken over by a spirit. Actually, what happens, the spirit don't take over the body. What it does is just influencing the mind of the person. It's a person with that hasn't got control of their mind, and these spirits can control their mind of telling them what to do. But actually, nobody took over the body.
Well, I understand too, Jerry. Maybe you can give us your input from the vantage point that you've had the opportunity to experience, that quite often we're always being experienced by or influenced by those on the spiritual side, trying to influence our mind into certain levels of achievement. For instance, we were talking about Dr. Nikola Tesla, who certainly claimed that he was having a lot of input from the spiritual side. Now, that kind of influence does go on if you're open to it.
Oh, yes, that does. Because I got one that, I got a spirit guide. I never did really get into this with you. You know, just astral projection is just one of our things.
Yeah.
That I communicate with him all the time. The one that took me through the levels of the astral plane.
Yes.
And very shortly, I'm going to send you them. I got 5 tapes that are coming that I'm having put out now. I'll send them to you, but you listen to them.
I'd love to have them.
And his name is, he's the teacher Karama. And when you hear this, when you hear those tapes, Bill, it's going to blow your mind.
Well,
about the philosophy, you know, about how we've been brought up through our religions and how different it really is.
We haven't really put a finger on it then.
No.
Haven't scratched the surface.
That as soon as I'm busy working, Jim and I are busy working on them right now, and when we get a set done, you're going to be the first one to get a set.
Well, I will await them eagerly. I am told by Dr. Peoples that I have a spirit friend. We wouldn't call him a guide. His name is Skywalker. Loosely translated as an Indian. But he's not too interested in me, but he loves my car. And he protects that car like you wouldn't have it. And the car's got 100,000 miles on it and looks and smells new.
Don't let him kid you, Bill. You got about 3 of them working with you.
Have I?
Yes.
Okay. Edson, did that answer your questions?
Yeah, I suppose the out-of-body is related to the near-death experience, too.
I would imagine they're very, very closely related, wouldn't you, Jerry?
Oh, yes, they're very close. Well, of what we do, we leave the body without have to going through that near-death. We know how to control of lifting the astral out of the body. And anybody can do it. If they want to take the time, I know...
Well, let's just don't say anybody, but maybe if they took the time, okay. I have really tried.
You know, I'll tell you what your problem is, Bill.
Okay.
Your problem is that you want to do it so bad, but then you got deep in your mind that this will never happen. This will never happen. You know? And right there, you're throwing that negative thought into you.
Well, I just don't know I just know I've gotten close to it a couple of times, and I do know I get excited. I wake up. And
yeah, and that happens all the time.
That really upsets me because there are so many things that I want to do over there. Just all of the guides and the people that you could talk to, the things that you could see, and the things that you can learn. It's a great learning experience. There are universities over there that one could go to.
Yes.
You can go into
so much.
You can go into the future and in the past. Have you had a chance to do that?
Go in the future?
Yes.
California is not going to be dropped in use.
You have been into the future, huh?
Right. The only thing that's going to happen to California is they're going to have a tidal wave. It's just going to hit the low areas.
Ah, well.
You're okay where you are.
Okay.
Unless you live on Malibu Beach.
No, I don't live on Malibu Beach.
So you said you don't have nothing to worry about.
How crisp and clear is the view whenever you've gone into the future? Can you, for instance, like read a newspaper of next month?
No, it don't come that way. Mine comes like when I go, I see like it's on a when I go out of the body, I see like on a movie screen.
Uh-huh.
And
you to see events that are moving around.
Right. It's like action happening. I mean, about 5 years ago, we told that we were going to have different weather patterns coming.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that right here. You know, it's the middle of January in Minnesota right now.
Right.
It should be cold. It's 45 above tonight.